I relogged into TikTok, so I don't know if you could. It might let you invite me. It's weird because on the computer it looks different. So I don't know.
Oh.
It kicked Annie out.
Yeah, it kicked me out. It's alright. Let's try again.
Oh no.
I accepted it, and now it won't let me in. Request to join. It might not let me put this one in.
Do you want me to get out? Let me go. I'm gonna go out really quick.
Okay. Hi, Brett.
Hey, Brett. Oh, he can't hear me.
No, Brett can't hear you.
Brett.
Talking to myself.
Live access is needed. It won't let me go live on mine. On the Bookish Banter. It won't even let me join. All right, let's do it this way. Join us live on the tube is what I've been saying.
I have to go get something to wipe up something. I just dribbled all over myself.
Oh,
Hold on.
no.
Oh no!
There we go.
That's okay, Brett. This is actually going to be a specific interview. So if you would like to be a part of the interview, you can ask questions. We are currently live with Kay Starling over on YouTube. So I'm getting ready to share this. Let's see, share, copy link. Bear with me here for just a moment so that we can get this sent over to
copy.
Book Club. Where is Book Club? There it is.
Is it?
Oh, if I could spell. I feel like that part is kind of important.
Okay, it's a Wednesday.
Listen, this Wednesday too, Annie and I have
fun.
been like all over the place. So it's been great. Doing
It's like
good,
3
sweet
Wednesdays.
darling. Yeah. So for those that are just joining on TikTok, this is going to be used for our Q&A portion as well as what we are doing over on YouTube Live. So while you can see me here, we are currently live right now over on YouTube. Follow the pinned comment at the top from the Bookish Banter, and that will have a link in their profile to where you can go over and click into our live broadcast for anyone who is interested in being a part of that. This is our first time giving it a shot, so it would not let me link everyone. Why are you doing this?
Sweet Darling said, "How is everyone tonight?" I'm good.
We're doing fantastic, darling. I wish that you could hear everybody, because I think she can only hear me.
Well, yeah, because you need to invite me again.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Hold on. Don't do that, everyone. We are live. Oh my gosh, if I seriously can't spell if my life depended on it today. It's fine. See if that one actually worked this time. Oh, thank you, Annie, for putting it in the chat. It will not let me tag the group.
I got it.
Can't figure out what that's all about. But that's super annoying. Okay. So, oh look, Amanda is in our chat. Hello, Amanda. Hi, Emily. Welcome in. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so we are going to get started.
Why can't I see YouTube
So-
comments?
Are you ready, Anne?
I just can't see the YouTube comments.
I have YouTube popped up down below for me so I can
Okay,
see
good.
it.
So if you can see YouTube,
Yeah, I can see all the comments right now. I really hope it stays in the live chat.
I can't get on TikTok for some reason. You try one more time.
Okay, I'm
I
going.
literally don't know why.
It's probably me. Hi, I'm the
accepted?
problem. It's me. There you go. I'm the problem when it comes to TikTok.
Bro,
We are
It
in.
what?
you're frozen on TikTok right now.
That's okay.
Oh wait, nope. I just have to. I have.
I love this. I
Jack
love this
Ann,
so much.
how are you, my
Technology
dear?
is not my strong suit anymore. Once upon a time it was.
For the win.
I know. Woo! Got it.
All right, we're on. We're good.
We're ready? We're good. All
We're
right.
live. We're live. As
We are
everywhere we
live.
can possibly be live to.
Everyone and anybody. This is great. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Bookish Banter. Today we are doing a live with our amazing guest author, Kay Starling, who wrote Talismans, Teacups, and Trysts. And this is our month's blush book of the month. And I am so excited. I'm about 30% of the way into this book, and I'm having a great time right now.
Yeah. Way fun. Total cozy Regency mixed with like a sprinkle of like fantasy and
Dragons. I'm
That's
loving it.
usually all you have to say to me to get me like to jump into something. So
Yeah.
Oh, but you have dragon.
And we haven't met
If
any
you're
of the
30
big ones yet.
just the little ones.
Just the little ones.
Just the little ones.
He's coming.
But
It's
I love how
coming.
I love we'll get into this more, but I love the how they have like personalities, like little personalities, and they're like described with like their owners. And
Yeah.
I love this element. We'll wrap back around to that, but I want to say that first because it's my favorite.
So, okay, we wanted
One
to
of them
start...
is.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say one of them has a person.
I think we have a slight delay, but that's okay. Now we know.
Yeah.
Now we know. So to start things off, I want you to kind of give a little bit of an introduction as to you and what made you be inspired to write and become a writer.
Sure. Yeah, so it's kind of funny. All the way back in fourth grade, I had which is really, and it was like my mom tells me this to this day. She's like, she sat down with a parent teacher conference with this teacher, and she's like, cannot, not to, she's like, and she really encouraged that in me, and so that kind of stood like the path. And just this idea that I did anything about it. I thought about writing, but I always felt like I had to do this thing, like I had to write the next Hunger Games or the next Y and Z. And it just wasn't coming. So it was actually about 1.5 years ago, I started editing a book for somebody, a friend. And then I was like, well, I'm much better at writing than I am at editing. So then I started ghostwriting, and I did 4 of those. And after the 4th one, I was like, I'm just going to do one for myself because I can make more doing that. And I can also have more creative control. Like I don't have to do just this one thing. And I don't have to do their plot or their ideas. I can do whatever I wanted. So that's how I wrote this book.
Oh, it's so much fun. I love that that's how it came about, too. That it was just kind of like this natural progression for you.
So when okay, so let's talk about the book really quick. Talismans, Teacups, and Trysts. What was the release date for this book? And what did you do for like the release? Because some people get like all excited for the release and they have like a party. And what did you do for your release date?
So, I mean, I felt like I flew by the seat of my pants trying to figure out how to do this. I'm going to do my second one totally differently. But it was back in July. I had some really strange pre-orders, but I don't think I probably did as great of a launch as I could have. We were actually on vacation in Oregon, and I was in a campground on the day it released. So I just wasn't able to give it like the release attention I wanted to. Like, I'm literally like in a tent. And so like that was it. And I was like, yeah, we're gonna stay. So I did that. This time I'm going to be doing things a lot differently with better like lead up to it, better follow up, and then I'm doing it actually on my birthday. My second one will come out on my birthday this year. So
Casey, that sounds like so much fun. I mean,
now that's the way to celebrate.
You enjoyed camping though, right? So obviously we were at least doing something that you like enjoyed doing for the release day, right? Like even if it wasn't, you know, a big party, at least you were doing something that you enjoyed.
No, except for that Oregon hit a heat wave that week.
Oh man.
And it was the 90s during it. It wasn't fun.
Oh, that sounds Listen, I like the hot though. Like I'm a tropical girly, so I'll take the heat over the cold any day. Any day.
That is true.
Any day. I know.
So tell us a little bit about what brought about this specific story. What was the inspiration behind it? And
that spark, you know?
Was it always going to be fantasy? Or did that come later in the development?
Yeah, so so 3 of the novels I've written before this for other people were Regency, because that was an era I love. I love the time period. I love the countryside and the dresses and the balls. I love all that. But I kind of was like, but all Regency is romance. And not that there's anything wrong with that. But I was like, but could a Regency be something else? Like, what if it was mystery? I was like, oh, but what if we had an heiress who investigated matters for ladies? I was like, and I was like, and what if there were dragons? And then I was just done. Like, I was like, well, if we're committing to dragons, we're just going for it all. And that's kind of how I kind of came to this idea of, imagine that we had the Regency era, so we had Jane Austen's era, but there was magic. And how would that shape the society? What would remain the same? What would remain different? So it's kind of always questions I ask as I'm writing. I think a lot of things would be the same. And I think we explore that more in the second book than the first. But I just had a real fun time kind of exploring, like, how would life be different if people could do magic?
I do love it. And so far, there are different, it's like a light magic system that you have that, at least in the beginning of this book. And I like that it's light. I like that it's not overpowering, and they're still trying to find their groove with magic, because technically right now in this story, it's illegal for at least those of a higher rank. So it's like the little nobodies, they don't have to, like, they can have magic, whatever, but the higher up in the hierarchy is like, no, you can't have magic.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, that's always how things went, is, you had the working class who could be performers, who could be singers, and the gentry kind of did those things, but not but as hobbies, like, we just do it for fun. And so that's why I was like, oh, I think it's not moved up the social spectrum yet, and because it kind of was inspired by traditional English folk medicine and folk magic, and that's where a lot of the gifts come from that are in the book. They used to hire a lot of people to find things. So I was like, there we go. And that's how it kind of happened. So that's why for her, there's still like this ceiling where the main character has some limitations, whereas those who are social strata below her can be a little bit more free with things.
No, I love that. I love it a lot.
I know. So do you find that, like, while you're writing, that you're kind of like writing, like, did you go into this? Like, is it like more of like a deeper meaning, or like for fun?
Oh, well, there's 2 things. So, I mean, A, it's for fun. Like, I was like, how can we have as much fun as possible? Because that's what I want it to be first, is like a break,
think it's way
a
fun.
release, just
way fun.
But then, yeah. like, how can we make this more ridiculous almost? And then the second thing is there are some things, and they start to come out more because it's a part of a series, and so there does begin to be some discussion about different things. And I think I mostly do that through exploring the characters, is that I really flesh out my characters and give each very strong storyline so that I want people to fall in love with them. And I want people to, so that's why I spend a lot of time there. So that's where kind of the depth comes in, is in their relationships and who they are.
I really like the way that you've written our main female character, Penelope, because I love how she is everyone. Like, she is not just one, she is everyone. And they have these little talismans that give her the ability to have these big bushy eyebrows, and then people don't know who she is. And with the little magic that she has, she can kind of like steer things. And I really enjoy that. Had you read or consumed any other novels like this? Because for me, Annie and I started reading it and we were like, oh my gosh, this kind of gives off like an Enola Holmes vibe.
Yeah.
Just fantasy.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me
I've
of a
never
little
actually
bit.
read.
That fun, because it was so fun.
Yeah, my reading follows more the lines of there's Jodi, and I forget her last name, but she writes Jodi Taylor, I think. She writes the Time Police series and the St. Mary's series. Those are a lot of fun. Or a lot of people have never heard of Jasper Fforde. He's very whimsical, or like a Terry Pratchett. So that was more like almost the out there kind of vibe. But no, and actually, you know, so funny is I haven't read Bridgerton either. I didn't know that my main character shared a name until like 3 weeks ago.
Best though is when things line up like that, totally not on purpose. Because even when I've talked to a couple of friends when I've shared what I was writing, and they're like, oh, well, have you read this book? And I said, nope. Now I know that I'm not reading it until I'm done, because I don't want to like make it be that. And they were like, oh, that's a good idea. And I was like, yeah, not doing that.
Exactly.
Did you have some of those come up along the lines as well when you were writing, that people were like, oh, this sounds like this, and you're like, staying clear of that?
Not very often, like, because I think while it does share some of the Enola Holmes vibes and a little bit of like a Regency vibe, the quirkiness of it kind of pushes it into a vein that like people are like, oh, like some people are like, it's like slapstick, or you know, it's just like the banter and everything. I think a lot of people, that's what they were like, oh, that's different. The narrator's talking to me and like giving her opinions on things. And that kind of strikes people as a little different. But no, I think it wasn't until the reviews started coming in, they're like, it's a lot like Enola Holmes. I was like, oh, okay. I think I've seen the Netflix one. Yes. But that's like, I haven't read the books. It's kind of funny. And when I write, I go into like reading deserts where I don't read very much, because I want to really make sure it's just whatever my voice is.
That was going to be my next question, is how do you be a writer and a reader? It is such a hard line to go back and forth on.
Yeah, I read really off genre when I'm writing. So if I do pick up something, I'm picking up like, I don't know, just something that's not of a similar vein. I purposely and intentionally don't pick up the voices who I feel sound more like me, because I'm like, I don't want to accidentally copy them. So I read those in between, but not during the actual writing time.
Smart woman.
That's smart. So how, we kind of like already talked a little bit about the world, but was there something that like really, really was like your spark to like create this world that like you created, that we, like, because we kind of talked about it being like similar to like Enola Holmes, but like I think that's probably why we like maybe that a little. It's because you fall into the world, and like I'm already fallen in, and I'm about 25% in, and I've already fallen in. So was there like a spark that you were just like, and maybe we can even kind of go into like how do you we talk a lot about world building and like creating like magic systems and stuff like that, and like how deep did you go into wanting to create this world and create like this like magic system? And it's we have two opinions on this actually when we talk about it. It's like sometimes you want it to be vague so that the readers can fill in some of those holes, and then sometimes you get it to be where it's like really really like described, you know, so that it really helps create that world that you're in. So
Sure.
like maybe just we could talk about your world a little bit.
Yeah. No, I mean, for me, so when I was choosing a magic system, I decided to go with kind of inspired by the English folk medicine. They had, like I said, they had people who would find things, so you could pay somebody to find a lost object. They had people who could like heal things. A lot of times you had to do like, you know, jump on one foot while eating a mushroom and you will get over your sinus infection. Like that's like that they were like fix it people. A lot of times they were tavern keepers, I found out. A lot of times they had like it was a side business and people would go to them and actually trust them with these things. So that's kind of where I started. And I decided to leave it vague. Now I do explain a little bit further on because there is something that happens in the second book that I felt like the reader would need more explanation, but I intentionally do not give you all the details. I don't do a lot of backstory. I just want you to kind of like land there and move forward with the characters. That's just kind of like, I don't explain why there's a Yeti and exactly what every magical creature is and what different dragons, you know, there is some fleshing out there, but I kind of am like, no, if I need to bring it up, I'll bring it up. And if not, I'm just going to kind of just keep it in my brain.
Yep.
I'm really liking the woolly rhino right now. I don't think Annie's gotten to the woolly rhino
I haven't gotten
yet.
to the woolly rhino yet.
Yeah, I read that and I had to laugh because I have a son who is absolutely obsessed with woolly mammoths. And so I'm dying laughing as I'm reading about this freaking woolly rhino. And I'm like, but there's not like a ton of description to it. So my brain is just like, will run wild with just that little phrase.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
I love.
I was like, this could be fun. Why not? Why not? Like, that's like,
yeah. Brooke in our chat says, and what if there were dragons? Famous last words.
I know. Brooke.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Awesome.
And I love that the little one that we've met thus far is named Cerberus.
Oh, yes. But it's
I
totally
love that.
like, it's a fey dragon. So they're basically like little butterflies. So like, it's like, I kind of picture like the dragon version of a teacup poodle.
Yes.
You know, like,
Totally.
like, round.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, named Ambrose, and he's like my terrier that we used to have, and so I just put that personality on him. But yeah, there's a main dragon who you will meet. I think it's around the 50% mark, and that he's like those two are always around, but like that one's like he comes around. His name's Toast.
She's trying to see how far she is.
Getting there. I'm trying.
It's not a surprise. His name is Toast, and he's absolutely adorable.
Toast. I love it even more. I love the quirky names that you've given some of these creatures and the way that they are. You know, like I love that you have found a way to make dragons be like pets and be
I love it.
like your little lapdog or like the terrier that you were saying. Like they give off that vibe, which I love.
Totally. Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite let's do a favorite character in the book? Maybe of the character that you love to write the most, and then maybe a favorite I don't know, I want to call it like a creature, not a creature, but like the animal, just because there's like so many fun like creatures and animals that you enjoyed creating the most.
Oh, I love so many of them because so I used to read Charles Dickens, and the thing that Charles Dickens does well is he creates just memorable, unhinged characters, and so that's why I love kind of doing that. But I think anytime I write Walt, who is her assistant, her real name is Verity Walters, but she does not go by that. It's Walt, and she is kind of like chaos in a bottle. She's just like
Walt.
just I don't I don't care, kind of like whatever. And I think it's kind of funny is I feel like Penelope is the public side of me, and then there's like this inner dialogue me, and I feel like that might be Walt. Like I'm realizing I'm probably writing both sides of my personality in these two women.
I love that. I love that.
I love it though.
I think that's really cool. And because we all kind of have that a little bit, right? Like we kind of have like our persona that we're like putting out to like the public or like, you know, people, but then like we have that like who we are at home and who we are, you know, like who we are to like our family and friends. So I actually really like that, and I can relate to that for sure.
Oh, for sure. We did get a question. Oh, no, you're good. We did get a question in the chat. It's asking, I want to know if you could pick one word not in the title that represents the overall feel of your book, what would it be?
I think probably the word romp.
Yeah. I feel like that's very good.
It's a Regency romp. Like, that's how I call it.
It's like a good traipse, too. I feel like traipse is a good one. Just like traipsing through, being like, oh, well, I'm going to be this person or this person or this person, and I'm going here, 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 here.
I love that.
I love it.
Romp. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, I think because so often the main character is trying to be all the things she's supposed to be, and so you're kind of sometimes just kind of gets tangled up in everything, and I think it forces her to maybe be the person she ought to be, or she wants to be, not who society says she ought to be. So I think it's kind of like this romp. They're just like, all right, well, let's go do this.
I've been loving it. And for you, as you're going through this writing journey, because you do have a book too that is coming out, or that you are in the current process of writing, tell us a little bit about like what your writing ritual looks like when you get ready to, you're like, all right, I'm going to go write. Is there like a step-by-step process for you? Or is it just like sit down and like finger vomit all over the keyboard?
I love finding out what people write.
That. I know exactly how many I hit a word count. Like I know what my word count, almost down to like within 100 words. Like I know. So I start with my ending. So I know how the next novel, so I've already finished number 2. I know how number 3 is going to end. And then I work backwards, making sure I hit all of the things that need to be hit along the way to build to that place. And then I actually do a spreadsheet, and it does get altered. Like it is not set in stone, the spreadsheet. But I'm like, okay, chapter 3 is going to be this. Chapter 4 is going to be this. And there's adjustment, but on the whole, like I definitely hit like the plot points and make sure I'm doing all the things in all the ways. I think it just kind of helps with me. But when I sit down to write, a lot of times I first visualize it and I ask myself the question, what needs to happen in this chapter to further the plot or to further the character development? And then I visualize what I'm going to do, and then I sit down and just kind of write it out. Usually a couple thousand words a day, sometimes 1,000. We'll see. Kind of depends.
That's impressive.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, Laura's jealous. I think it's awesome. I've never been good at articulating words, so any kind of writing and writers, I always think it's so fun that they're able to like take their thoughts and like their what they're seeing in their head and then actually put it onto paper. So I just think it's cool. I think it's a gift. So
yeah, I really I think like the organizational side of me needs it plotted out, but it's not, but it has there's some movement in there.
Yeah. Well, as you started, okay, so what about like maybe some like challenges then? So like you're organized and you kind of can change things around, but like did you have like did you kind of come up against some like issues where like while you were writing and you like they were actually what you would call like challenges with this book, or maybe just writing in general?
You know, the writing's easy, it's the time. So last year I had to drive my son to a school that was an hour away. And so I sat in my car or in a library every single day and then would pick him up afterwards. So that was challenging sometimes because life gets in the way, or I don't always get the good seat at the library or something like that. And then this one, the challenge has been we decided to homeschool rather than drive that hour a day. So that was a last minute decision. So like I already committed to a deadline, and then now I have my son home every day with me, and he's pretty good about like going and playing and doing stuff. But the challenge has been like sitting down, writing this. Oh, and we had a flood back in August. Our house flooded.
That's right.
So
I
it's
remember
like,
you
so now I'm
mentioning
trying
that.
to, yep, the kitchen sink. We found out later that basically the drain pipe has a dip in it. And so it clogs and backs up.
No.
So that happened like in the middle of writing this book. So it was more of a time thing. That's always my struggle, is creating enough time. Because I mean, I've done, even though I've only written 6 books, I did like years of newspaper, article writing, blog writing. So like deadlines are something I can do. I just need to make the time.
Yeah. What are some of the tools as a writer that you have been like, oh my gosh, these are my top go-to, and what are the ones that you found just were not quite up to par for what you were needing in this writing journey?
Sure. Now there's a book, and I wish I could remember. It's something about characters. It has a blue cover, and basically character arc, it has the word character and arc in it. I know that. Building a great character arc. That is my blueprint on how to build like character driven books. Like I read that, and then I tried I listened to some blogs, some things like that, but that kind of gave me a blueprint, which I created a spreadsheet from, because I'm that kind of person. And then but I'm not one of those people who needs like, I admire the people who can do the inspo boards, but I don't need that. Like it all is in here. And so I don't really need that. I think the other thing that really helps me is doing blocks of writing time. So I set a timer for either 30 or 45 minutes, and I try to challenge myself to write a certain number of words in that time. That actually helps me a lot.
So do you tend to write just in Google Doc, or do you do the Scrivener? Do you choose a specific type of writing software?
So we have horrible internet in my house. I'm actually at my sister's house. And so I only use Pages on my computer. So that's all I use, is I just do Pages. It works for me because, yeah, I can't do anything on the internet because, like, my internet's horrible.
Sometimes that happens at my house, too.
My family would not survive.
Sure.
Annie's family would not survive. Internet is literally like attached. It should be just hardwired into their hip or something.
It probably should be.
They should have like their own like 5G tower, just
seriously
like going around
between
with them.
husband and 3 teenage boys. Like that's like their life. If the internet goes down, they don't know how to function. If the power went out, they would be like, "What do we do? What do we do?
What's supposed to happen?"
Do?
Like,
supposed to talk
so
to each
we
other?
actually are scheduled for a power outage tonight from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m., which is like almost prime gaming time.
Are you
So-
really?
Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's fine.
Jeez.
It's gonna be excited.
That's
So
okay.
with book 2 ready, like you said that you're done with that. Is that completely written then?
Yeah, it's at so the editor did the first round. My beta readers have it. I'm doing edits like this week and next. My editor doesn't, she as of yet has never had to do large edits. It's always down at the sentence level because I tend to sometimes write like a little fussy, like a little wordy. Because I'm trying to strike this balance between like kind of a Jane Austen inspired voice, but make it contemporary enough that it doesn't sound like it was written by Jane Austen. So
Yeah.
sometimes that's kind of like this little dance we have to do where she's like, that sentence got way too long. I was like, all right. So I have to go back and fix. My other big fix is this one as time travel. And she's like, you need to gently lead non-time travel people into it so they understand what's happening. And I was like, duly noted. Got it.
We love time travel.
Hard was that to write that, because I actually called Annie and I said, like, when I was first started reading it, I was like, okay, brain, we have to shift gears a little bit into like the way English people speak.
Yeah.
Because my brain was like, hold on. Because I wasn't expecting it in the first chapter. And so my brain just kept like going back and forth. And it was almost like this internal battle. But then once I actually started like, oh, okay, I'm getting there. Now we're flowing. I had to get into that Jane Austen set, like brain set.
Yeah.
Is that hard to write?
Actually, no, I mean, because I read so much of that. Like, that's my, like, if I'm having a bad day, I'm picking up Jane Austen, probably Persuasion. That one's my go-to. But, so that was less of the struggle. The struggle is I have an English editor, so it's actually all English spelling. And so, British, I should say. So I've gotten more used to that, but there's like little phrases that they use that we don't use. And so she's like, that sounds American. I was like, okay, fixing it. Or she's like, and then we also, the other challenges too. So Penelope and her aunt and her uncle speak in kind of a high register, a very proper English. And then you have like Walt and the middle class who are speaking kind of in the, what we call like a West Country or like a Cockney, like they're speaking in it. So you kind of almost have two separate types of English accents going on.
Yeah,
which you can hear though. You can hear that as you're reading it though. Like you can hear it. The difference. It's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, one of the big things is, and most people, this is pointed out toward the end of the book, Penelope and her aunt and the narrator never speak in contractions. Walt and the low and the middle class all speak in contractions. She will never use.
I'm gonna watch that now because I got a little. Now I still have to finish, so I'm gonna watch that now.
Yeah, that's the biggest way. Like she doesn't use contractions. She doesn't use slang. She won't say like "what you doing." She will say "how are you today." She's very like.
I get that. Yeah. So
yeah, I see it.
I know. I see it too.
I see it now.
I was thinking, as when you're writing, and we kind of talked about like your release, like what you did during your release day and stuff, and now that you're kind of like going into book 2, and I mean, like our book club is reading it right now. They're all so excited. They're excited to get all their copies and everything so that we can talk about it at the end of the month. And we have such good conversations during book club. And everybody has, I love how they have like all their different takes. So now that you have book 2 coming, like, how do you deal with like the expectations, maybe that you have on yourself, right? And then maybe ones that you have for like maybe like expectations like that, you think that maybe your readers have. Like, is that hard to deal with? Or are you just like, I'm writing for myself, you can deal with it? Like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah. Number 2, I was like, this is horrible. Like all the time.
Yeah.
I was like, this sucks. But no, I think one thing that's helped me at least is that I know it will be 4. And I know the theme of each of the 4. So each of the 4 will follow so there's 4 main people, and each one gets their own. So we have Uncle Ambrose, who's going to be a little bit more prominent in this one. Then it will go to the aunt. Then it will go to the assistant, and the last will be her. And I know we're building toward something. So that helps too, because not only is the story building, but then there's like an action. So there's basically like a giant story arc with mini story arcs in each.
I love that. It reminds me of like a season, right? Like a season for a TV show or whatever, where you have like the season, but like each episode starts to break everybody down, but there's like an overall arc for the season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I have to look back at my notes.
And it's just, Okay,
I've been enjoying this too much. I'm like, I gotta read the other
Okay,
questions.
well, I was just thinking too. I'll just jump right into something else. Maybe like separating from your book just a little bit, and we can kind of talk books like in general, if that's okay. Like, just because we are so much into like the book like world, and we have, we just talk. Me and Laura talk books for probably 5 hours a day, which is probably scary, but it's on our mind all the time. So maybe like, what are maybe some of like your book icks? So sometimes like in general, like me and Laura have a couple of book icks, but do you have any book icks when you read it and you're just like, oh, I hate when they do that? I'll give you.
And then you ooh, I am not putting that in anything I write.
Maybe me and Laura can give you one of ours that's just general. That's not like not. We don't want to like nitpick on anything, but like I have a. One of my book icks is I don't really like insta love. Like it's not my favorite. Like I like fated mates, and I like the building of relationships when I read a romantasy. So I'm not really a big fan of insta love. So, yeah. What's yours, Laura?
Okay, gravy. So many.
I know, but you just pick one that you think is like.
Books with white pages.
Okay.
Because they give me headaches. So yours, I absolutely love because it is like, I don't know how well
it is one of the first things she talked about.
But they're that off-white coloring. I can read that.
Yeah.
I know that's not necessarily what you're talking about because you're talking about like what's in the book, but
I know, but
that is in the book for me. So if a book has white pages, I will not pick it up.
I don't know. I think that I more have. Oh, this is one. Okay, so if it's a romance,
yeah,
you know, there's the break. And the thing I don't like is if they're breaking up because someone didn't finish a sentence or clarify their point. If it's like, you know, misunderstands and then the other person is like, no, I'm like, just finish your sentence.
The communication. It's communication.
Like, right, and now we've broken up because somebody didn't like just like send an email. Like, you know, explain yourself and you probably don't have to break up. Like
the miscommunication trope is one that just is like you couldn't have said 3 words or like just no.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like that could have worked too. Right? Like miscommunication trope is not one of my jams.
Nope.
Yeah. I'm like, just talk. Like, come on.
Yeah.
It's not one of my favorites.
Nope. And Insta Love. So I'm right there with Annie. Insta Love is actually one that's really, really hard for me. But
because that's part of the story though. That's like the love of it. Like you want to read about I want to read the relationship like develop over the thing. So Insta Love. No.
Insta Love. No, thank you.
Yeah.
I also would like to know some of your things. You are on Book Talk quite frequently. That is actually how we met you, and we have been friends now for quite some time before Annie and I re-picked back up this whole book podcast thing. But with the Book Talk community, what are some of your favorite things that you see going on in the community, and what are some things that you think that we could do better?
I think I really enjoy the lives because I like hearing kind of like the stories and things, and just kind of chatting with people. I think it's a great way to connect. That's something I watch more of those. I think oftentimes I do like sometimes some of the I like some of the book reviews, but less more like if you like this, you'll like this. I guess book recommendations would be more so what I'm meaning. I do enjoy that. You'll find a book and you're like, I love this one. What else is like it? I want to know what else out there is more like that. I think too, this is more of an Instagram thing, is where you're like, if you love this movie, you'll love this book, that kind of thing. So I was like, yes, I want that vibe. Sometimes I just like stories. I think like, how did you get to the place? Why do you love books? Why do you write? Why, like, what is it? I guess the personal experience is kind of what I love. So yeah, I think that's what I like the most.
What do you wish that we would do more in the Book Talk community?
That
I just want all the Rex. That's it.
I just want stories. Yeah, I'm trying to think on. That is a good question. Let me think. I'm not really sure, actually. I know what I like. And I wish there was sometimes more of that. I want to hear people's stories. I want to know why somebody decided to.
I know.
Either why they love, the why. Give me the why.
Sometimes I think on TikTok, or social media in general, I think sometimes it's hard because like you get like the really quick clips and stuff, and I struggle with this. I'm a little long-winded, and so I'll make a video and I'm like, crap, that was 10 minutes long, and now I gotta like cut it down because I just like I can ramble and I can talk, but it's not necessarily created for like long form, more like in-depth conversations, but I mean, some people will stick around for it, but I think the hardest part about maybe like TikTok is the fact that it's a little bit more short. Like those clips are meant to be short, but I mean, that's how it is on a couple of the other platforms and stuff. I guess that's the long form is meant for YouTube, like what we're doing right now. So, but I think that's one of the things like I have a hard time with on like TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
In book talk.
I do too.
Yeah.
I want more social media platforms to be like TikTok and live, because so many people can see you in a live and it pushes it. I wish that Instagram did that a little bit more, because I want to do more on Instagram, but I can't because things don't get pushed the same way.
Yeah, it's true.
So that's why I spend most of my time on TikTok.
Well, I think the lives on TikTok are just the way it's the algorithm, the way it's like done is just, it's actually just done really well. So yeah, it's done. Which really
lives
well.
Is how we came together and how this all came to be. So I'm I just get really happy about that.
Yeah,
it's true.
It's cute. So Kay, you said that your book 2 comes out on your birthday. What date is that?
It's February 13th. I was just like, originally I was going to do January, and I'm like, we should just celebrate my birthday. So it's going to be February 13th, and then it's like a double celebration. I was like, yeah, this will be fun. It's my 45th birthday, so I felt like good idea. So yeah, I'm excited for that. I think too, because the story has a lot of characters that are inspired by people in my life. So it also feels like this little celebration of all those things too. So I love that.
And what's the title of book 2?
So I just decided to give myself horrible titles that are so hard to pronounce. So it's Memories, Magic, and Mayhem. So this will be MMM. The next one I know will be SS and Spoons. So
I love that. I think that's a great title.
Spoons.
I love that.
I have a feeling that I know why it's Spoons.
Yeah, it has to be Spoons. So then.
Annie hasn't gotten there yet.
I haven't got there yet.
Actually, no, you would have.
Did I?
Oh,
someone has.
In the beginning.
Someone's got some sticky fingers for some spoons.
She does. It's an issue.
I forgot that. That's right. Actually, I have that highlighted. I have lots of highlights.
I may have tabbed that too. I started tabbing the things that made me laugh. So I wanted to share these with you because these are things that I thought were great. I did want to say I love your little narrator notes. So when I first started reading it, I didn't realize that this was coming from a narrator's point of view. I just thought that it was third person. So when the narrator note hit, I was like, oh, okay. So then I was like, I think that might have been why my brain also was struggling, because I was like kind of bouncing. Like I told you in the beginning, because it's also
it's a great element. I love it.
Great Britain speak. But I loved your first narrator's note. And then, hold on, there were a couple more. I have to find them. Where is it? Oh, that was another narrator's note that I thought was good. This is actually the one that got me the most. And I laughed viscerally. And it's when Walt asks if she needs to have a pistol.
She
goes,
called me, by the way.
"Penelope-"
Stop.
Yeah.
She literally called me, by the way, and was like,
I did.
I know you haven't gotten this far yet, but I really want to tell you this line.
Yes. So this is on page 23. It's the very end of chapter 3. It says, Penelope did not grin. Well, maybe a little. My dear, a pistol is as essential as a ladies' ensemble as stockings. Never leave home without one. And I was like, oh, so true. My gosh. I was dying. Because the context in which that is said is just chef's kiss. I loved it.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think
I
think most of my highlights are the narrator comments.
Yep. I love the little narrator note.
She gets spicy. She has lots of opinions about things. She wants to clear things up, and she has gossip about people. So she needs things she needs to say. Yeah, I don't even know why I did that at first. I was just like, oh, well, because there's things you want to say as a narrator, but like you feel like because you don't want to break the fourth wall that you can't, so you kind of hold them in. And I was like, but what if she just decides to say them anyways? And so I was like, all right, that's what we're doing.
I love it.
I do too. It's one of my favorite things. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of the girls in book club are going to love it because they're so like sassy and fun. Like I think they're all going to love that element to it. So I'm excited to talk about that in a couple weeks.
Yes.
Oh, what's funny though is that the narrator's notes is the breaking point. Like in my reviews, it is the thing that either people love or hate. There is no middle ground on that thing. And I was like,
interesting.
I was like, I would have called, but that's fine. So,
yeah. Well, so with this being a 4-book series, you now have book 1 that is out, book 2 that comes out in February. We do have people asking if it is available for pre-order or how to get on your newsletter for book 2.
So it will be available. I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to do a Kickstarter for special editions. And I'm trying so hard to finish up the artwork on that so that I can do that, like get that out. So that will be available either as a paperback, which will be very similar to the vein of the first one, or there will be like a gold embossed hardback cover with some full color art on the inside. So the way to do that is I have a website. It's authorkstarling.com. And I have just like a general contact form. And if they're like, oh, I really want to make sure I get on this list, go ahead and fill that out. There might be even an opportunity to subscribe. I should have that. Or one place I do lots of announcements and I'm super active on is so Threads is Instagram's Twitter. And so my handle again is author K Starling. It's across all of them. I keep all the same one. And that's I like post up to date like 5 times a day.
Awesome. Oh, I love that. So that's the first 2. So you're going to get a special edition of book 1. Book 2 comes out in February. I know you're working on book 3 and then book 4 is still in the works, but do you have any projected dates on book 3 and book 4?
So I might be crazy, but I might do June and October.
Girl, if you can pump those out that fast, I give you the biggest freaking props ever.
That's impressive.
That makes my heart just like jump.
I'm going to start writing 3 in about 1 to 2 weeks here, probably 2 weeks. And then 4, I would start writing as early as March. And maybe October. I want to get it done before the holiday. So, yeah, somewhere in there.
Jeez. That's amazing. Good for you.
It's cool.
It's cool. Annie, do you have any final questions?
No. I mean, maybe if there's just anything else that you want people to know about your book that you felt like maybe we didn't cover, or that you just felt like you really want people to know about it.
I think the only thing, and that's probably because I haven't talked about it maybe quite so much on TikTok, is that 2 of the characters, so Uncle Ambrose is deaf, and they sign. and that's her uncle. The main character's uncle is deaf, and so that's because I have a deaf son actually, and we sign in our home. So like, that's just kind of a fun personal thing that not a lot of people would know. And actually, the Yeti in the book, which again you meet right around the middle, he is named after and like inspired by my husband. And the story behind that is I used to run an after-school program, and I had this girl who was spicy, like sass. And he walked in the first day, we're dating, and she's like, "Who are you, a Sasquatch?" And like from that point, because he's 6'7", so from that point forward, like she would just call him that, like, "What's up, Bigfoot?" And so I was like, then that just has to be it. So.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that you've adapted having a person with this hearing disability in, and that they use sign language as well as that, like, they try to use other languages as well. But I love that you're like, he hurried and shoved food in his mouth, and because you don't need your hands to eat, to talk, because you use your hands for everything else. So I thought that was like a really fun thing to have added in there as well.
Yeah. Oh, and I know so many of those cues because that's how, like, you'll notice her tapping on, like, if people read it, she taps on tables to get his attention, or that's what we do, or like, or you flick off and on lights. She can't do that because there's no electricity. But, you know, that kind of thing, like that's, or even stomping on floors. If they're hardwood floors, deaf people can feel the vibrations. And so, like, these are all things I do. It's, if you ever, like, me or my son is hysterical because I need to get his attention, but I also sometimes want to like walk across the playground or the whole house. I'm like, and hoping like he'll see me all the time. They're probably like, "Why is that?" And I was like, I'm trying to get his attention.
I love when we can put real life elements into our books, though. Like, I think that's just part of what makes them personalized to us and helps. And it also allows us to dive into like the characters more into, and it just helps with the character development. I love it.
I agree. Okay, thank you so much for coming on the podcast with us today. This was fantastic to be able to talk to you about your book, about your future books, and your writing processes. For anybody who wants to go and follow you, you said your social media handles are K Starling across the board?
Author K Starling, yep.
Author K Starling. So make sure to follow her over on Instagram, on Threads, as well as on TikTok. We're so grateful to have you on, Kay, and you guys have got to watch for book 2 coming out here real soon.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, see.
Annie will cut our live.
I'll wrap it up.